to fight first? Who is going to fight first? Here's your options. Jon Jones, Henry Cejudo, Conor McGregor. Now, before you answer, please hear me. Please take this literal. Who's going to fight first? Because what I'm afraid happened is that your mind reprogrammed my question into who do you want to see the most? And I think that because I went on YouTube and I posted on the community section a poll. And I asked this same question, who do you think will fight first? Henry Cejudo, Jon Jones, Conor McGregor. And you guys overwhelmingly said Conor McGregor. I'm going, well, okay, but do they really think Conor's next? Or do they just pick the most famous guy in the UFC? So obviously they want to see Conor more than everybody else. That's what being the most famous guy in the UFC is, right? Or the most popular. It means people want to see you. And maybe not. Maybe they did answer it straight up and they just think Conor's going to fight for it. But I want to make sure when you leave me comments so we do understand this. Now, I will tell you as each day goes by, this becomes more confusing for me. Jon Jones wants to fight. Volkov is up tomorrow in the main event. That's interesting. Within the same weight class. That's interesting. Don't think you need to correct me between programs, between platforms. My point is still the same. And it is very interesting as it pertains to Jon. I mean, when Jon left his belt, took his ball and went home, Jon hasn't done this in a very big period of time. But if you remember, or if you want to go back and search, Jon did not leave just because he wants to go take on a challenge of the heavyweight division. That is how Team Jon is attempting to put the new face forward and present this. As a hungry competitor, we were taking a risk. We're moving up a weight class, and here we are, and we're ready. That's how they're trying to tell the story. That's not what happened. He left with some very big threats. Leaving that belt and walking away was meant to be, I'm taking my ball and going home. You're going to do what I want, or I'm not going to come to the dance. That's 100% how this whole thing started. Which is interesting because you're operating on a concept. Begged Jon. I begged him publicly right in front of you guys, don't do this. This isn't going to work. We don't need you. That sounds so mean. That sounds mean, right? You don't want to tell somebody that. You really don't want to say those words because it sounds mean. You're dismissing a human. Come on. I want to say those words. But you try to get real close. You try to dance around, try to be passive aggressive to get them to realize this is going to move on without you. It moved on before you, during you, and will after you. Everyone's going to leave. Most guys will be because Father Time got them. That's true. Or most guys got a level set and retired. That's true. Most guys will not leave because they're so good and they think they're in a power of position that they're going to take it away. That's also true. However, does it really matter why a guy left? Does it matter if he left angrily? Does it matter if he left over a contract dispute? Does it matter if he left over an injury, an illness, or his career is just over? Does it matter? The point that we're going to go on without you at some point for sure is true. So we're begging Jon, hey, be careful here. This isn't going to work. If you're making a bluff to walk away, make sure that you're ready to walk away because you're going to find out the hard way, the same as everybody else that ever played this game. The building's already booked. The cage already exists. Like, it doesn't need you. It can just also have you. It's one of these things. Real touch and go how you're going to explain that. But many people, they fall for this all the time. They believed it when BJ Penn said it. They believed it when my own guy Randy Couture went through it. They believed it when Tito Ortiz started to hold out. And we go back over time of guys attempting to do the same thing and getting the exact same result. We can do that. But every single day, you'll see it again. One of today's champions, one of your current heroes, eventually will play the same game that Jon's playing right now. Get too big for his britches. For sure. But when Jon did it, much like when BJ did it, or some of those other guys did it, or the next guy does it, there is going to be a group of you out there, a very small majority that's going to feel powerful and feel as a, this is the one. This is the one they can't do without. This is the one that's sporting. Never been true. Wasn't true with Jon. Not going to be true for the next guy. It's a volunteer army. If you do not want to compete, we've heard enough. Don't compete. We're going to continue to hold competitions. No hard feelings. But that is what is happening, has happened, and will continue to happen. And I only bring that, I think, as a way of smearing your face like the puppy that missed the paper for those of you that thought this is going to be the one. Not only was it not, your guy is now back, eligible and ready, and nobody's in a hurry to book him. Nobody's too excited. Hurry out and do that. So what do you do if you're in Jon's spot? Well, I think Jon's doing everything right, quite frankly. Even if I just gave Jon a hard time, that was a period of time ago. And he's back. He's got a different attitude. He's got extremely limited opponents. Jon Jones coming to heavyweight, and that thrill and that excitement really pertained to Francis Ngannou. When we took Francis out of that, okay, you know what? Stipe, I actually see it. Let's try that. And then you're in a really hard spot. You're in a really hard spot for who's going to be next. Now, is that what the delay is? Is it a matter of the options are so small, Francis isn't in the conversation right? And it's just the knee injury alone. Forget about the contract. Forget about the boxing. Just the knee takes him out of that conversation. Stipe sure as hell works for me. I'll tell you what, I really, really would be looking forward to that contest. Is that all the delay is? We don't have Stipe. Is that what it? Because we've heard those rumors. Very hard to ever hear from Stipe. Doesn't do a ton of interviews. But we heard those rumors and nobody really dispelled them. And Jon spoke up and it did sound like Jon's ready to go, which would leave you with those rumors. Probably got a little something to him that we just don't have Stipe just yet. So we're waiting for Stipe. Is that all it is? We don't know. We're guessing. It sounds like a really good guess. I would even be willing to bet that we just laid it out. All right. But what happens if we don't get Stipe back? Or what happens? We don't know why Stipe's out. We just heard that he's out. We just heard that he wants to push the match a little bit. What if Stipe never returns? I mean, that's going to be the same situation. At some point, Stipe's not. I don't think that's where we're at. I don't think that at all. But what if? What if Stipe doesn't come back? And what if Francis stays out? What do you do? Do you still book Jon? He says he's ready. Do we find somebody else and we got to just move forward and we got to get on with it? Probably. That would make a level of sense, wouldn't it? But you would have to consider, do I need to bring a guy in who's being very difficult to work with, who didn't draw that great for me the first time, who's in a much easier field? You take Stipe and you take Francis out. You've now got Jon in a colossally easier field than the one that he just failed to draw in and got so bored he walked away from. Do you want to put the strap around this? I mean, what you're going to be left with some real questions here. Not to mention, how old's the son of a bitch? Is you trying to rebuild in a new way? I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. Jon Jones is ready to go, and he's not booked. Every day that goes by, that surprises me. It does. I'm just trying to guess why. I think I'd probably come close. Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is your guys' favorite that you want to see the most. Come on, I'm stating the obvious here. The question was, do you think you're going to see him return earlier than Jon and or Henry? Really tough one to be nothing more than a guess. We see Conor in the gym. We know that he's hungry. He's putting out the interviews. He appears to have a bunch of opponents. We're guessing that a return is imminent. We know he's going to return once he's healed and he's better. How do we know when he can return based on when he's better? Well, we're starting to get some pretty good clues. He looks good. You don't just look that good unless you're working your ass off. He's putting out videos and training clips. They're very authentic. Those are real sweats, right? This isn't Anthony Joshua spraying himself down before the camera takes a quick snap. These are real workouts, so we're going to guess to really be able to work out that hard to look as good as Conor does, that he's close to healed. I think that's a very fair guess. We were told at one point that we were being as optimistic as it could be this summer. You guys might remember, but the rumors of a return for International Fight Week, which is only 4 weeks away. That was a rumor at one point. Then it got pushed to August, September. But we're pulling right up on August and September-ish. So not a bad guess for Conor. Not a bad guess. It might be mine. Then you have Henry. We got a little bit of clarity on Henry. Some of you guys might have missed this, which was just simply somebody within USADA spoke on Henry, or somebody went to the website of USADA. But they told us where USADA stands with Henry, which is because he left the pool and he returned, he's got to wait 6 months. Got to be tested for 6 months. Okay, I think we're not even quite 2 months into that process. So not even quite 2 months. We got a little bit more than 4 months. This is Chael guessing here, but I know that I'm really close. So essentially, I think Henry will return as soon as he can. That's my guess. So now we're just playing a game of can Jon get booked and return prior to that 4-month-ish mark? Can Conor get booked and return prior to that 4-month-ish mark? It's a fun game, quite frankly. It's a fun game because it requires a lot of thought and deduction. And all you can do is detective work and then ultimately guess. So place your guess. I want to read it. Who's going to come back first? Jon Jones, Henry Cejudo, or Conor McGregor?